On the night of June 13th, 2025, a brutal assault was unleashed on villagers in Yelewata, Guma local government area, by gunmen believed to be herdsmen. The Amnesty International reported around 100 dead, with scores missing and hundreds injured. The Associated Press later confirmed the toll rose to approximately 150 fatalities. The sheer number of fatalities caught global attention, but in reality, since April, violence has persisted, exceeding 200 deaths across local government areas. The root causes are not unknown. They are land disputes, shrinking pastures and grazing routes, climate change, and ethnic/religious divides. Section 14 2B of the Nigerian Constitution states that security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. Section 33 says that every person has a right to life, and no one should be deprived intentionally of his life, except in execution of a court sentence. Section 41 affirms that citizens are free to live anywhere in Nigeria and not be forcibly displaced due to violence or insecurity. The situation in Benue is a failure of leadership at all levels. Those who swore an oath to protect and uphold the Constitution need to take this oath seriously and leave it to those who can. The President has tasked security agencies to crack down on those responsible, but with local communities accusing the military of complicity, trust needs to be rebuilt first. We saw about a week ago that the DSS had actually given some heads up to the Defense HQ, which they didn't take any action on. It's no longer a debate. If we want to end this, we need to have the political will to mandate ranching. There's no choice, absolutely. Authorize community policing, yes, even if it means state police, and then improve on border security.
Okay, I think if we keep taking this thing to be like communal clashes, we're really not getting it. And for me, I think that's one of the problems. When it comes to Benue, we always look at it as if it's farmers, herders, clash that is going on. It's terrorism that is going on, and it's across Nigeria. So you're looking at Benue, you're looking at Taraba, because after Benue they did Taraba, you're looking at Borno, you're looking at Zamfara, you're looking at Sokoto, you're looking at Edo, you're looking at Enugu, Imo, I could go on. And so what we need to understand is that there are people, there are terrorists who are killing our citizens, and we should just treat them as such, rather than trying to make it as if there's some clashes going on and then people need to sit down in one place and settle and discuss it and come to an agreement. I don't think we're seeing it the way it is. And one of the things that is so concerning is the fact that most of these places that are being hit, if you talk about Jos, you're talking about Borno, you're talking about Niger, Benue, Edo North, they are all places where that is supposed to be like the food basket of Nigeria, where we have our agricultural produce really coming from those areas. And so the question that we need to ask, is there a silent war against Nigeria, in the sense that Nigeria is being crippled even from inside? And this terrorist attack, one of the things, and I think I've done it, one of my advocacies here is the fact that it's so disheartening when we turn it to be religious or communal or tribal. Like I said in that last advocacy, that in Nigeria, for your death to matter, you have to be strategically killed. If I'm a Muslim, and I'm Muslim in the southern part of the country, I'm killed, it doesn't matter. But if I'm Muslim who is from the northern part of the country, but I'm killed in the southern part of the country, it matters. That's why they will speak about, what happened in Oromi. And a week later, 16 people killed in Zamfara didn't matter because they were Muslims who were killed in the northern part of the country. And so if you're Christian and you're killed in the southern part of the country, your death doesn't matter. You have to be Christian, killed in the northern part of the country, and then your death will matter. Because then people will be able to use either the issue of sentiments, tribal card, religious sentiments, and on and on and on. But guess what? Every one of us were being killed by terrorists. And for people who don't understand, we are all victims in Nigeria. The victim card is going around. Being a victim in Nigeria is no longer a matter of if you will be a victim, but a matter of when will you be a victim, because the victim card is going around. Yesterday's survivors, yesterday's victims were once survivors. Today's victims were yesterday's survivors. And tomorrow's victims would be today's survivors. The question I always ask, who is next? And let's remember, those who have been killed will not be killed again. The next to be killed are those of us that are alive. So we need to take this thing as seriously as it is. And by the way, the victims in Benue, they also prayed. Because most of us think that the moment we said, oh, we are protected in the name of God, inshallah, it won't happen to me. I'm covered with the blood of Jesus. Well, those people who are also being killed, they are being covered. And God will not do for us what he has given us capacity for us to do for ourselves.
Right.
But I have tried my best as much as possible to avoid that particular news on WhatsApp, on Instagram. I just dodge it because I'm a very emotional person and I can literally connect to those people as my cousins, my mother, my sister. It could be anybody, right? And so because I can easily connect to them, it's hard for me to just say, oh, let's pray for their families and let's hope that everything works out. Because if you look at what's going on right now in the government, everybody has moved on. Campaign politics, they're still, ribbons are still being cut. Nothing has changed, right? And until the citizens rise up and demand for our leadership, who are responsible, like you said, to protect the lives of people, until we rise up and hold them accountable, until somebody is held accountable for this, it will keep happening. At the end of the day, our love and prayer go to the family. That's what's going to happen. Somebody needs to be held accountable. You can have, we're not in war. I mean, even war, they would tell you, okay, we're bombing your one of your facility. Everybody should move out. You're killing kids. I'm literally trying to put my words together. Like, you're killing kids. Like, what? In their homes. Like, in their homes, while they're sleeping, where they have no means of defense, even self-defense. How does that make any sense? How is it that nobody is being held accountable? How is it that we're just moving on to the next thing, to the next post, to the next comment, to the next slide? How is it that the whole world is not talking about this? I mean, I'm tired of...
You know what gets to me is the fact that this issue is not new. You can go back to several decades of this issue. And it's the same complaints, it's the same issues, it's the same playbook. And it gets to the point where you begin to ask, like Aisha said, is there something bigger to this? Is there an agenda? Or is there something else that we're missing? Kate?
Like Aisha said, maybe if they were strategically positioned in Lagos or Abuja, Port Harcourt, then the deaths would matter and something might come out of it. All the laws that you mentioned, all the parts of the Constitution that you mentioned, they are mainly suggestions because there are no consequences for them. Somebody's business it is to protect the people. Nothing happens, you don't protect. You're busy doing other things, preparing for other things. Nigerian lives mean nothing, basically. And as always, when we have to look inwards and take care of ourselves, we have to protect ourselves. We have to build the barriers. We're supposed to maybe protect ourselves without weapons because you are not licensed to, carry arms. So when they come at you, what are you going to do? You're just going to beg. Prayer is not going to work. Let's just forget that line. It's not going to work because they're not going to listen to those pleas. But that you wake up and the sheer number, 200. It's not chickens. It's not even cockroaches. It's lives. people who are living and breathing. But I will tell you this for sure. There's a sinister thing going on that I can't really pinpoint, but this is not ordinary. It's not normal that we just move on from this. But I understand that people are dealing with so much on their own. But like Aisha said, what's going to happen tomorrow? Nobody knows because nothing has happened. There has been no consequences for what has already happened. So who knows what will happen tomorrow and if people are going to move on. It's just such a tiring and debilitating subject to talk about, really.
Elsie, what's the solution?
Solution? I don't have it all. But, I mean, you know, you said something about political will. You said if we want this to end, but beyond political will, do we even have empathy? Especially when it comes to our leaders. I would make two examples. I'll make two examples. Something that happened just back to back after the whole news. We're talking of 200 people. Don't forget that. It's not just one person, two. Even if it's one, I keep talking about the value of life and the fact that a Nigerian life holds no value. That is a major problem, right? So while this was going on, first, the governor of the state came out to accuse politicians in the National Assembly on live TV that they were sponsoring the attacks, right? But we're still trying to recover from that. And then a statement was released from the government house because they heard the president was coming to Benue State. And they said the Benue State government has called on residents and registered support groups to come in mass to warmly welcome the president on Wednesday, whatever. I guess he didn't get there finally. But the point is, people had died. This is not a state visit. The state should be in a state of mourning.
It's a solemn...
and you are calling people. In fact, they even pushed out that they should come and register. They were taking colors of clothes. So please tell me how you think political will can solve this
And
when
the governor,
there is...
he say what? He say what?
Reverend Father.
Okay, continue.
When there is no empathy, like you did not hear that news and it shook you first. Like, we are reading it, we're seeing it. I know the effect it had on me. Bright has just described what it feels like. Sometimes we're scrolling past, not because we don't want to, but it's because you are trying to protect yourself. Because it doesn't make sense that 200 people died. The president, after so much clamor, realized that he has to go and visit the place. And then somebody from the state that's supposed to be mourning had the audacity to push out a press release to tell support groups to come and register, to come and welcome the president in mass. Does that look like a place that solution is going to come out from?
No, Nehi.
That's one. Then you mentioned something about mandates ranching. This conversation, it's, I think like 5 years ago, we've had it. And I remember you were saying something behind the scene last week with Andy about solutions to this issue, right? And I didn't get involved, right? And it was deliberate because when you say ranching, at the end of the day, if they implement these things the way it's supposed to be implemented, even the owners that are saying, oh, cow is their culture, it is like a daughter to them, whatever, or son, they will benefit more. Obviously. Have you seen cows in South Africa?
Obviously.
Have you seen cows in Rwanda? But you will see cows here, they look like they are suffering from AIDS because they are not well taken care of. Even the human being, if you have to walk from what's it, island to the mainland every day, you will get the effect. But if you are kept somewhere and fed and nurtured, you will see the value on your own body. It's the same thing. The animals, it's the same thing, right? So I don't understand how the conversation is happening. I don't understand if they don't tell them the value of actually mandating ranching and how it is them that would make more money when they do the right thing. I don't understand it. So I would like to agree with what you have said, that this is no longer communal, because if it's communal, since 5-10 years ago, we've been on this conversation. It would have been solved. But definitely this has to be terrorism going on.
Let me just add that mandating this ranching should not be a burden on the host communities. It should be beneficial to them. If you are mandating ranching, the host communities should not suffer, to be honest.
You know, I have tried to look at this issue from, you know, I tried to be objective about it. And I realized that as objective as I am, I'm not necessarily... I'm not in the midst of what is going on, so I can't really be as objective. But you know, I look at it and I say that okay, so you get the argument that there are these grazing roads that have been there for what, decades or centuries or whatever. But then in reality, today as we see it, a lot of all those grazing roads no longer exist.
They used to be.
And all that. So And the reality today is that we need to have very realistic conversations around this nomadic lifestyle. Okay, very serious
But it
conversations
is that
about
today, though.
Yeah, I mean, and so the problem has always been there. Okay, that you have, even when you look at the Bible, you know, you always have this conflict between herders and farmers and one way or the other. So the point is that right now, you know, we need to be able to have, with the communities involved, with all the stakeholders, they need to be able to come to some agreement that ranching is a solution, all right, to making sure that every party is taken care of, and that's where the political will must take place. There has to be some kind of decision making in that event. And Aisha spoke about terrorism. The Interior Minister spoke some days ago about poor border security. Okay, he was saying he didn't have enough money to protect the border. And what he was insinuating is that a lot of all this, you know, people that come in are not Nigerians. Okay, they are people that cross the border, come in, attack, and then they go. All right, so what do we need to do? Do we need to build a wall like Trump? Let's build a wall and let Niger pay for it, or something. You know, there has to be a solution, and it has to be an emergency.
Maybe because it's having an effect on them. That's why.
It would be an emergency when 200 people makes you feel something. I did not feel that even in the reactions that came from the news. So